don't enjoy the game. It just feels like lifeless. I don't know. It just doesn't really feel like Battlefield to me.
Yeah, I think that's like
It's sort of
the general consensus of people who play it.
yeah.
I don't know. So I saw Silk saying that he really enjoys the the Nightbird now. I'm sorry, I still don't know, but I still haven't tried it. I don't think I've played the game for like 3 months, maybe. So yeah, it's
Yeah, because they reduced the like minigun spread, right?
yeah. So I might
Yeah.
hop back in and try it out, but there's not much for me to go back to, I feel like.
Yeah, like to be honest, I don't know. It just feels lifeless. Input lag. If you've played any other Battlefield, like you go to 2042 and it just feels so bad.
Yep.
Like not just frame rate, it's just mouse input. Like
I don't know who I heard it say, but or it was Catalyst, I think, on Twitter, who went back to BF5 and he actually couldn't aim anymore because he was so used to the 2042 input delay. And I experienced the same thing when I went back to BF4. I just couldn't aim anymore. It was impossible.
yeah, it just doesn't feel like a shooting game. It really doesn't.
Yeah, it's very weird. And the worrying part is like we're like what 4 months in now, and they still haven't even acknowledged that there is a problem.
Yeah, it's like I've seen a couple of tweets about it, and there's like a theory going around that they're restructuring, which they have like stated the fired some stuff. So that's the hope that they're in a restructuring period, but like there's still no excuse for like new release game, and I've done bugger all to be honest.
I don't know.
In the terms of patches, you know.
Yeah, I honestly think this is, in my opinion, at least the worst game release that we've ever seen in FPS games. Like, I don't think there's anything that comes even close to it.
At least in Battlefield, like people were comparing it to Battlefield 4, but Battlefield 4 actually had so much more features.
Mm-hmm.
Like it did have instability of server crashes, things like that, but it was nothing on this level. And they actually like pumped out content pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing that I also like. People compare it to BF4 launch, but BF4 was fun on launch. You had things to do, there was content to play through. Sure, it was buggy, you had crashes, the hit track was complete garbage and still is pretty garbage. But there was fun to be had. But now with 2042, it's like, I don't know, it's just empty. It was fun for like a week or two to experience a new Battlefield game, but other than that, it's just not fun in my opinion.
I think whenever a game comes out, you're in the honeymoon period,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll be enjoyable like learning it, but then you actually open your eyes and be like, what does this game actually offer other than the other ones? You know, it's like it doesn't do anything better or not much better.
Nope, it doesn't. And then I want to go through, like, start it off and we'll see where we go. But I want to, like, I went through your YouTube and I want to, like, go through it in a chronological order. And I was very surprised to see that you started out with with Minecraft, of all things.
Yeah. So at the time, I played some like COD on Xbox. And one of the reasons I actually got a PC initially was to play Minecraft with a couple of friends of mine, a couple of IRL friends. So I don't know. I wanted to get into YouTube eventually, and yeah, I actually did release a couple of COD videos before Minecraft, but I think they might be unlisted.
Yeah, they're not there.
Maybe one day I'll show them. That'll just
I think that the
like
first
18-year-old me.
The first 3 videos was, wait, I have them here, Minecraft potion recipes, and you actually had on the first one 95,000 views.
Yeah, they farmed, man.
Apparently,
a few $100 off them. It was good.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then you jumped into the first video that I found of you playing Battlefield was called "Don't Flank in a Battlefield Campaign."
Oh yeah, good times.
It's just like a video of you dying. It was kind
just
of funny.
like farming the bots. Yeah.
And then you instantly go to like Battlefield 3 Infantry 65 kill streak. And I want to like touch upon the moment that you started playing FPS games. Earlier you said that you started in World at War on Call of Duty. Was it on PC or on console?
I was on console. I can't remember why I decided to, but I got like an Xbox for my birthday. Like, mum chipped in, bit of work money, stuff like that. I think one of my friends might have played like a bit of Xbox, and I played a little bit at their house. So I just decided to get an Xbox. And it came with like Halo Wars, which was actually quite a cool game back then. Um, and there was a guy in my form class. I don't know if you know what that is over there. It was like
In
high school.
what class?
Form class. So
No, I
it's
have
like
no idea what that is.
you have no idea. I won't try and explain it. It's a little bit hard to explain, but anyway, just a guy at school. Didn't like World at War. He preferred COD 4 like a lot of people, and sold it to me for cheap. And I just picked it up and just got into the game, basically.
Yeah. And when did you decide to switch to PC then? Was that Battlefield 3 the first time that you played an FPS game on PC?
So I started playing Battlefield 3 pretty much because a couple of my friends were like my friend Jared and Carl and Ryan, who are like IRL friends of mine. So I used to just play on the odd weekend with them, just like casually playing Conquest, just like mucking around basically. And I was playing like COD competitively at the time. Black Ops 2 came out, and I just decided I didn't really like the game. Battlefield 3 was like a lot better. And I was just playing like team deathmatch versus a guy that I could tell was competitive. And so I just asked him, did he play comp? And basically just started from there. A guy called Brains, and just got into his team, like started trialing, and yeah, it was just a process of moving up from there.
No, interesting. And then how did you get into like you started playing Battlefield 3, and how did you get approached, or how did you get into the competitive scene there?
It was actually just I was playing team deathmatch, and I just asked the guy because I could tell the way he's playing because I had a bit of experience from competitive on COD, and I could just tell how he was playing. Just asked him and got picked up by his team after trialing, and that's pretty much it. They were like a mixture of new players and also probably like the second or third best team in Australia straight away, and that just gave me some good connections. Basically,
That was mainly 5v5 that you played, like, or exclusively even.
No, actually, it was. So I played 10v10. No, 8v8. I think it was 8v8 in Battlefield 3. But I also, after that, got picked up in a 4v4 team with a guy called Valzo, who at the time was probably the best player in Australia. Absolute freak. Vertex, Dutch, all these guys. And they actually picked me up from my stats on my account. Nothing else. They'd never seen me play. They didn't know who I was. I used to be like a massive stat whore and not move and just farm stats, basically. So that actually got me into that team, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, interesting for sure. I actually myself never played Battlefield. Well, I played a bit of Battlefield 3, but not to the extent that I know how to play it, or even how competitive was played back then. Is it similar to what we saw in BF4, or is it like completely different?
Sorry, I missed that. Just my screen is messed up a little bit. Should be good.
Is BF4 like the competitive scene? Was it like similar to BF3?
So when I started playing competitive BF3, a lot of teams had already finished. There's a lot of 4v4 stuff like that, and apparently it was a massive scene. But BF4 was sort of, it started pretty slow. There were like probably 8 or 10 10v10 teams. So it was decent. But it was like, we just played 10s, and then after like 6 months, a year, we started to get into 5s. A little bit different.
Yeah. And then I want to move on to the next video that I found, and I see that you recently uploaded another one of the same kind, and that's like the mouse test video. I think the first one was with the SteelSeries Rival, and then more recently you did one with the G Pro. Like, what is the idea behind those, or is it just like a fun title that you put onto them?
I don't think I just knew what to call them. But they actually, I think I might just randomly decided to do it, and it just got a lot of traction because obviously people will search for mice on YouTube, and those videos did well. Like, a lot of people actually found me through those videos, which is quite funny. Like, it was just gameplay over a mouse, basically.
And you gave no impressions on the mouse or anything?
No, nothing. Yeah,
okay,
that's literally just how I started, yeah. It's more just like, I guess, clickbaity, to be honest, back then. Before clickbaity was like a trend. I don't know.
Yeah, I see Silk saying I found Shady through his G303 test. So the proof is there. And then what was I think the first BF4 video you uploaded was immediately like a competitive frag movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so like into Battlefield 3, because I played quite a lot of competitive, and sort of worked my way. I got picked from this. We had like a team called Cowtown or Globex, which is like the team that I initially was. I joined in TV10, and we took the good players from that and made it back into a team called Vanguard, and we got into playing 10v10 when BF4 came out. So that's pretty much all I did when the game was released, was just grind competitive, and obviously pubs to learn the game. Pretty
Yes,
much,
you were around like at the start of competitive, right?
very start. Yeah.
And
Um,
how did it compare to like the start of like 5v5 domination to what you played like, let's say, a couple years ago, like more recently? Is it like a big difference in the way how people played, or is it like still quite
yeah,
similar?
different. Like 10v10 is very slow. Well, at least it was back then. Especially like when Battlefield 4 released, there was no movement. It was very clunky. There was visual recoil. So the game wasn't very aggressive. You couldn't like jump corners. You just got punished very heavily. So the games played out a lot slower. Um, as well as like they were 30 hertz servers. The frame rates were terrible on the release of BF4. So you pretty much needed to get like, I think it was Windows 8 to even get it to run okay. So it played a lot different back then.
Yeah. Did you play any vehicles in BF4 like ever?
In pub occasionally, but no, I've never enjoyed it.
You never enjoyed it?
No, it's like I don't judge people that are using them, but I like one-on-one gunfights.
Mm-hmm.
I fear one-on-ones as infantry. Like sometimes it feels in a vehicle like you're killing infantry that literally can't do anything against you. You know, if you're killing medics, for example. Um, I don't know. There's just something about infantry that I've always enjoyed a lot more than vehicles. It's a hard thing to describe. I'm not sure if I have ADHD, but I have to be moving all the time, and in a vehicle they're quite a lot slower. Um, in some instances, like Little Bird's a bit different. That's the one vehicle that I could actually see myself getting into a bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, I was always a vehicle guy myself, like for the longest time. Until I think maybe 2017 when I started playing infantry for the first time. And I immediately loved it. Like I felt like a click with infantry, and I didn't stop playing until now. Still, when I hop on BF4, the only thing I play is infantry nowadays. I don't know. It's just I've played so many vehicles that it's just become boring, right? Like I've hit like a peak, and I yeah, I don't know. I want to hit the same thing in infantry, but I know I can never hit it. So that's why I keep trying, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I wish I could enjoy vehicles more, but I just don't as much. I don't know. I wish I knew why, but it just feels slower to me.
And then if you had to
Yeah.
pick like one gun in BF4, but like not the mainstream guns, like a little bit of an underdog, which gun would you pick?
It's tough. AN94 is that's sort of on the fringe. Very good gun.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in
It's
burst
fun.
fire, it's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
there might be a little bit of like nostalgia from Battlefield 3 because that gun was so broken in BF3.
I still think that it's pretty strong in BF4, to be honest. Like especially
Yeah,
if you,
it's underrated.
yeah, it's
I
underrated.
honestly reckon it's
Exactly.
underrated. Yeah.
And then I don't know if like there was a World Cup or like a World Cup like Nations Cup type thing in ESL. I don't know if OCE ever participated in that even.
We did once.
You
Yeah.
did once, yeah.
We
And yeah, go ahead.
we did decently. We pretty much didn't have any vehicle players. We had I won't name names, but the people that decided to start us in the Nations Cup didn't have the greatest experience in the current players when Nations Cup came out. It was they brought back some of the old tankers. We had no attack heli pilots, which was just obviously the Tech Heli is incredibly strong late Battlefield 4. We had like no pilot for that, so we just got farmed on anything like pretty much vehicle based. But we had very good infantry players. That's the one area where we compete, and that's like we beat America, which was I think pretty good, just by infantry, pretty much, to be honest. And yeah, I think we came like fourth or something, fourth equal. It was like decent, but
That's pretty good.
yeah.
We had the same thing with like I played for the team Benelux. They asked me, and I was already flying scout for like I think maybe 3 or 4 seasons in BCL, and they asked me to be the backup scout. And our main scout was like a pub farmer with like 150,000 kills or something. And I told them like, yeah, I have experience. This guy has never flown in 8v8 before. They told me that he has more kills, so he gets to fly, which was just
Makes sense. Yeah,
very interesting.
yeah.
And then we played our first game against Germany at the time, on Siege of Shanghai, and probably like Silk or Reeps may know the guy. Mr. Min was flying for Germany at the time, which is an insane scout heli pilot. And our scout just completely fucked up his initial push, and he completely blamed it on me, and they instantly banned me from the team speak, which was
Really.
it was
So
just
fucked.
fucking hilarious. Yeah, yeah, but that was just a little side note. But we instantly lost our first round. Like, who was the pub scout? The pub scout was Aimbot Potato.
Yeah, I don't know him, but sure, Rates probably does.
Mm.
I wanted to bring up something which, like, this gives you the idea. So when I started playing like COD, I liked hardcore in Call of Duty. So like this is very early days, and I was picked up by a couple of hardcore team deathmatch clans. And like looking back at this is the funniest shit. And I haven't really told many people this, but we used to play in a couple like little leagues and stuff, and we were like the best team. But it was just like literally camping and team deathmatch, and you like would set up. Was it 6 people? I think it was 6v6 in COD. You'd set up 6 people in set locations and just hold angles the whole game. It was the most boring thing ever, but that's literally what I started doing in Call of Duty. And I did this for for a couple of CODs. It was like, I think it was Black Ops 1 was like the big one that I played, and what at the very end. First team was called the Brotherhood, and then Righteous Campers. It was like the most cringe shit ever. It was so funny, man. Like, just imagine 6 people like prone in bushes holding angles, and like one bulleting people. That's literally what I started doing. And then decided this is fucking boring and stupid, and then just started getting into like search and destroy and actually playing proper, competitive. But I don't think I've ever said that, but it's like it was so fucking funny.
And what was the name of the team that you said?
The first one was called the Brotherhood, which were like mostly Kiwi guys, and then Righteous Campers.
Oh my god!
It was like RC.
If competitive in Battlefield ever becomes a thing again, I'm gonna make a team and call it Righteous Campers.
It was the best shit, man. And the guys cared so much about their stats, they would literally do a thing called dashboarding. So if they ever lose or die too much, they would just go straight to their dashboard of their console, which like pretty much cancels out stats for the round. That's how much those guys like were so serious about their stats and shit. It was so dumb.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, all that way to playing like, in a top like 5v5 team. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, definitely. And then I don't know much about the OC competitive scene, but like how alive was it after the game? Like let's say after 2016, when the game kind of died in the eyes of the public. But how active was it after that point?
Like competitive wise or
competitive
pub wise? Completely dead.
So there was nothing anymore.
No, nothing. Nothing after the last ESL season. And even the last couple, it was like maybe 6 teams playing 5v5. That's it. No 10s, no 8s. Everyone quit.
So from let's say 2016 up until this point, there hasn't been any proper cups or anything.
No, we played the Nations Cup a couple of years ago, and there's been nothing at all.
Oh, wow.
It's been completely dead. And we used to apparently have like 20 or 30 teams in Battlefield 3. Like, we actually have a pretty big scene when the game's good.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah, in EU and NA, it's been. I remember when BCL stopped, and then it was like 2016. I actually made like a little meme team, which was called 2K17 Meme Sports. Because there was like still a couple of teams playing, and they were calling themselves like the best team in the world, and so I was just like there
Yeah.
to kind of mess with them. And like, for example, Dance, you know him as well from your chat.
Yeah.
He played with me, so it was like pretty fucking funny. Like, that was a really good time. But then actually, like, I think almost every year we had like an 8v8 cup. Like 2017 there was one. 28, yeah, like I think every year there has been one. So that's pretty. Isn't Dance? No, that's not Dance. That's Delusion.
Yeah. No, Dents is definitely in like my stream a lot, so I doubt it.
No, I talk to Dance almost every day, so he's not behind bars. But it's Delusion. He was more of a vehicle player, but he also played with me in the tank. Helix Delusion. Yeah, I think he got arrested last year because I still spoke to him on Twitter about joining my 8v8 team when the
Yeah, like I used to remember him like talking to him in DMs and stuff back in the day. And yeah.
But well, I don't know if I should. Yeah, it's public information, so whatever. He's locked away for a while. But he actually got arrested for selling illegal drugs on the dark web. So yeah, the FBI kind of clapped him up. There's like public articles that you can find on the internet about it. But yeah, like I played with those guys like purely with friends, like some Polish players. It was like a great time. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that there has been nothing in OC for that.
Yeah.
Like last year, there was the 10v10 Cup, but that didn't really go too well. If I remember correctly.
Played 2 games and then they just gave up basically.
Yeah, that's
like it. So like, for example, in Battlefield 4, when like 5v5 ESL came out, like I knew it was coming out, or it was sort of hinted that it might be coming to our region after the first season. The one that I think was, what's the name of it? I can't remember the team. The one before Fnatic went on the huge run, right? In domination. MHM or MYM? MYM.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was whispers that it was coming to Oceania, and I tried to get the scene to switch from 10s to 5s. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't change any of the rules. Like, we had a few 5s tournaments and stuff, but they wouldn't change the rules so we could actually get used to using rockets, and which would open the map up in like Zavod, for example. The old players and admins were very stubborn in like 10v10 and 8v8. And as soon as 5s was announced, came here, all the pretty much 10v10 players just quit, just disappeared. Some of them came over, some of them didn't. I think the first ESL season we had about 12 teams, which is pretty good for 5s. And like 4 good teams or decent teams. But after the first season, people realized they would never win, never get top 3 and get money, and just quit. Never played again. They didn't want to lose. They didn't want to like try and put in the time to get better, and it just died.
I feel like that's like a trend with Battlefield teams and Battlefield players. Like, if they feel like they don't have the lineup to win, they just don't play. Which is, in one way, I did it the last season. I think it was the Enter, when Enter, like the BCL guys, made the cup again. I also was like putting a team together again. But then we were without a tanker, without a jet, and I was like, you know, we could have tried to play, but what's the point then, right? If you
just give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. But like that's the thing. Like, what's the point of playing then? What Silk says is also true. You should add it to your battle log. I wholeheartedly agree.
Sorry, part of having animals at 1 a.m.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I actually kind of. Oh yeah, I was saying that I also like disbanded my team then, but I also had the opportunity to like get into casting and hosting the stream, which was pretty fun. A lot more fun actually than playing itself, to be honest. Yeah, I understand the sentiment. sometimes, but oftentimes it's also just that they quit playing because they're tired of losing, I guess. Which is the only way you
Oh my god.
can really improve. And Jan, you just didn't want to play without a prize pool.
I'm sorry. My cat is very smart and
It's okay.
he wants attention.
I have some time to
Did
talk to the
you
chat then.
did you know much about the oceanic scene with like me almost getting banned,
No,
all this stuff?
I have no idea about any. Like the first time I got introduced to the OCE scene was, I think Silk was the first guy I started talking to, and then I got to know all of you, like Reeps, Spy, you. But other than that, I wasn't really around the oceanic scene that much. No.
Because like the OCE guys or some of the like older guys like Silk and stuff will know this. But yeah, so this will give you a bit of insight into the OCE scene. So basically, like started Battlefield 4, I left the team called Vanguard to join Immunity, and Immunity and Battlefield 3 were very, very good. They were like um, best in the world for fours and also tens. They won the Nation Cup. Like they were very good players. I joined their team. We played like 10v10. We came like second in 2 seasons, just because like the guys weren't as good. They were getting older. They weren't putting in the time. But when fives came around, there was like it was like a local tournament, not ESL. And I made a team with some of the best players or the best infantry players. And we ended up winning a couple of seasons, getting like I think $2,000 for one tournament and maybe 1,000 for the other one.
In BF4.
Yeah,
Oh
this was
wow.
the like very very early on, but we are playing in like a bit different rules than ESL, so no rockets, a few like just strange rules, but I was in an admin, didn't know any admins basically, so we couldn't change them. But yeah, so when ESL was announced that Oceania is included, and like it was season 2 for ESL, but it was our first chance to actually compete. We were playing because I was playing under Immunity at the time, our fives team. And some of the older players that played tens, a guy called Deaf Dog, Sadact, Reading, Admiral, they all wanted to come back and play. And what happened, we decided to make a very strong team. It was going to be me, Valzo, Sadact, Deaf Dog, and I think Reading. And we were going to win the tournament most likely and go to Germany. But one day I went on to Discord and I was called by Deaf Dog a cheating fuckwit and was banned off Discord, kicked from the team, even though I was like the captain of the team. And I was like messaged on a website called Cybergamer, which is sort of like ESL's website, that I had to like record and upload every single competitive game I ever play. And I was kicked from the team basically.
Wow.
And apparently there were like 6 people on the anti-cheat team. And there was only one that thought I didn't cheat from this like I've seen the footage or most of it, and it's just dumb shit. And so yeah, that was like the OCEC scene. Pretty much, if you're improving too quickly, or someone doesn't like you, you'll get bans. And this happened to a guy called Valzo, who mentioned him before and played a lot with. He was actually banned in Battlefield 3 for apparently cheating, but it was just he had high sensitivity and he was just better than them. Like he's never cheated.
Wow.
And so after that basically made me want to improve. Like I made my own team with just like friends. We ended up coming like third, and actually getting some money from ESL. But that from that day, that's when I actually like put a lot more focus into improving, and that definitely like gave me a little bit of incentive to get better than them, basically.
But so the players who are like on the anti-cheat team, they are, they're supposed to be good players, right? Like they're supposed to know the game.
The
Like,
older players
how is
that
it?
were good on previous Battlefields, yeah.
So, like, how is it even possible that they ban you if they saw your gameplay? Like, it must have been that they had something against you or they didn't want you to play because, like, if you see a cheater, it's quite obvious that someone's cheating, right? Like, at least for me, it is.
I think because there's a few things that it could be where they had 4 core friends, or like actually 5 of them. They had played together for a couple of Battlefields since like BF2 actually, and they all wanted to go to LAN. So it's possible that they basically just wanted to kick me out of the team that I created so they could all go to LAN. Because I taught that I basically, when we formed the team, I taught them everything about 5 spawns, just everything, because I'd played 2 seasons with like the previous guys. So they let me do that, and then just basically tried to get me banned from that point on. I don't know. One guy called Deaf Dog, who he's reached out a couple times since, but he seemed to have it really out for me. I don't know why.
Wow.
Not only, yeah, they tried to get me banned, and also like tried to destroy my name as well at the same time.
Yeah, I see Makalaika or Jan in the chat as well. He played for M4TS. I don't know if you know those guys. They were like, when they started playing 5v5, they were just the best in Europe and NA. Like not even in my opinion, just factual. And there was a player, Jan, what was his name again? Was it the Red? Or, I forgot his name. But basically there was a player in their team who was insanely good. And then some other high-level players started like accusating him, and basically they got him banned out of the game. Without, like, I saw the proof that they had, and some of those players, yeah, Green is it? I said red, Green. And some of those players who accusate him and who got him banned, I'm friends with them, so I'm like, it's very weird. But I saw the evidence videos. I can send them to you afterwards if you want. But like, there's maybe 1 or 2 situations where I could be like, maybe, like a very big reach or a very big maybe. But I just decided like, yeah, no, he's banned. There's no way that this guy can be better than us. We've been playing for a much longer time.
Yeah.
So he's gone, and he never was able to play again. So I think it's like quite a similar situation.
Yeah, like I have theories because when I joined Immunity, pretty much in the scores were me and Deaf Dog were pretty much the top most of the time for kills. But like obviously, if you play competitive, you know there's a lot more roles than just being the top of the scoreboard, right? Vehicle players, repairers, your more passive players that hold like the back flag, But I think a couple of the players had very big egos. They didn't like to see someone that's just started playing PC doing really well, and just like, no, there can't be. This guy's learning really quickly. He's got to be cheating, or, I don't know. I really don't know. Which sucks because I respected all those players. Like, they were insane. They were really insane, but they just didn't like anyone coming close to them.
I'm
like
pretty sure that's like exactly the same thing that happened to Green, but the only difference, you were able to like keep playing, and he was just exiled, never able to come back.
Yeah, I was very lucky, but yeah, it was pretty messed up.
Yeah, and what I see in the chat that Reeps writes, ego is the biggest improvement killer. That is 100% true, and I've been guilty of that as well. Like when like back in the day, I had such a big ego because I was just young and dumb. That you just,
I was the same.
Yeah, like it just prevents you from growing as a player. So it's kind of bad.
I think it's one of those things where, like, I was just in COD, even the start of Battlefield 3, it was just you would focus on maybe getting more kills and improving your aim, but you wouldn't. Your ego would stop you from understanding why you lost in certain situations. My positioning was bad, or any variable. But you just couldn't analyze it properly without like letting go of some of your ego, I think.
I think having an ego is important to be a good player and also to grow as a player, but you can't be consumed by your ego. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, that's one thing I learned is, so the very best players have an ego, and like some will show it more than others. And you have to have this ego to be very confident at what you do is correct, and you're not like second guessing yourself in the moment. But it's being able to contain it, and after the match, break down what you have done wrong and what you improve on. I think it's the biggest key for like anyone that plays competitive that I'd try and tell them.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And like, things get heated during matches. That's just normal. Like, sometimes your ego takes over and you like start raging. That's just in the heat of the moment. But it's like what you do afterwards That's the thing that really matters. If you just like stop the match and then you're like, you just go to bed and you're like, fuck this, tomorrow will be better, then you won't improve. But if you
No.
like go back, look through your gameplay or look through your team's gameplay or the enemy even, and see what happened and how you could improve, that's how you will really massively improve.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things like I have mellowed out over time, but I had like a thing which in sport you call it like white line fever, right? So you're real chill off the field, but as soon as it's in a competitive thing, you get quite full on. And it's just like I might get really annoyed in a game, but like afterwards, I'm always chill and I actually understand what went wrong, what didn't, and like that's the sort of thing. It's like everyone's different. You just gotta learn over time.
Silk says comp Shady, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it comes out.
Oh, trust me, like Makalaiko is in the chat, he playing comp with him is an experience.
Yeah, like especially when I got into IGLing, it's like when people don't listen to you. If you're, I don't know if you've IGL'd before.
Yeah,
but it's like
I
when
had
people
to
don't
at one
listen
point.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's IGLing is for me my first experiences were when I had to IGL because we didn't have anyone else to do it, and I was flying the Scout on Paracel, and that was not a great experience at all. Like I was just eating. Like you have to look at your big map, you have to like coordinate what your team is doing, but you can't do that while flying a Scout and having to dodge 20,000 things that are flying towards you. Like it just doesn't work.
No way.
So that was
It's the same.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say, like, that's why I never IGL'd in 10s or 8s because I didn't have the full perspective. I didn't play like a lot of vehicles. I was playing too aggressive as infantry to actually have the overall picture sometimes. But in 5s, I found I could do it pretty well.
Yeah, I think even though Maka was someone who raged a lot, on infantry maps, I don't think there was anyone who was a better IGL than him. At least from who I've played with. Like, the calls he made, the positions he knew, that was just such a pleasure to play with. But you also had to deal with the rage, of course. But, that's something that you get used to over time. I don't know if you raged a lot during competitive matches.
I in actual, like, for, like, proper matches in ESL, I'd never raged at all. But in scrims, when people were fucking around and stuff, I got annoyed. Especially, like, because I had the overall picture, but they just didn't want to put in, like the right amount of time. And with having people in our team that weren't actually going to go to LAN because they were too young, that was quite frustrating. Because it affected the people that were actually going to go to the LAN in the long run.
Yeah, I think the only time that I consistently really got mad was when I had to play against Brazilians. Like, I will never, ever, ever do it again in my life. It is such a horrible experience. It's so, even as a scout heli pilot, like you're 1v1ing and you just see half of your bullets dusting. And then you also have to 1v1 one of the best pilots in the world, so that doesn't... Oh, it was such a... And even like 5v5, I played in a cup with... did I play with Sunny, Nickel, Maddie, and... I don't know who else it was. And Nickel was playing on a 380 ping. We came in second, like a very close second, but it was just such a horrible experience to play against Brazilians on that ping.
We actually, last year, we versed, who were that, like, I can't think of the name right now, but they were like the best 5s team at the time, the Brazilian guys.
Legacy.
With Massacre. Yeah, Legacy. So we versed them. It was like me and just like people from BH, like some of the very good infantry players that were around today. And we actually, like, I think won one map and lost 2, but they were very close. But we were all playing on 150 plus ping, and it was not a fun experience, So I understand.
Yeah, like, just thinking about it makes me feel sick again. It was so bad.
Yeah, like it was happening to them as well as us, but it was just it's not a fun experience.
Every time I looked at like a Brazilian's POV, it was like, how are you hitting those shots? Like, I'm literally holding mouse 1 here, and you're not dying. It was so horrible, but I guess it was just like depending on who lived where, I guess. But
they also have to play on high ping a lot more than you would have, so they understand it. Because I actually played with the top team in Japan, started Battlefield 4, which actually helped me a lot. But I was always playing on 180 ping, and it's different to say the least. But you do like adjust to it over time.
Yeah, I think that was the big advantage that they had, was they're used to playing on high ping, and you could
Yeah.
definitely tell that in their gameplay. Well, I guess
Sorry, just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, go ahead. And Silk, I saw you ask if BF4 8v8 will make a comeback. I don't think so. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think
Apologies.
so. Yeah, I was just responding to Silk's question if 8v8 is gonna make a comeback, but I honestly, I don't think it will. I don't think it will. Maybe the only way I see it coming back is if what was the project called again?
Is it Project Reality?
No. The BF4 version of Venice Unleashed.
Oh, okay.
What was it called again? Maybe someone in chat knows, but I forgot the name. Warsaw, that's it. Yeah, Warsaw Revamped. Electrify is working on that. If that comes out, I see there being a chance for 8v8 or 5v5 to come back, because we'll be able to, have different... Oh, I just lagged out. We'll be able to have different maps. What happened to my webcam?
I think you use a webcam to shut off.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me check. Oh, there we are. I don't know what happened. What were we talking about? The 8v8 coming back, yeah. I think in Warsaw Revamped, there's a possibility of it coming back, because we'll be able to like have different maps, tweak the guns ourselves, and have like a more polished experience, a new experience as well. So maybe there'll be something then with like a couple of teams, but I don't think it will ever like come back. I think the last Summer Cup was actually the last one.
Yeah, I think one of the flaws with like a mod like that would be bringing in new players.
Oh yeah,
because people obviously over time are just gonna move on with their lives, children, whatever. So bringing in the new players, you always need that happening. You need like a pug scene to feed into new teams.
Yeah,
I don't. That, it won't last long. I don't think
it won't bring back it won't bring a new scene to the game. Definitely not. The only way I see it happening is like old players, like old Battlefield players, who are like, you know what, let's try this. Have like a night cup, or maybe a cup that lasts like 3 weeks or something. But I don't see it like exploding or bringing in a new wave of players at all.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I think it's, it was a good game mode as well as 5v5. But I think it's like, how old is the game now? Like 9 years or something?
9 years.
9 years, yeah. I think it's like, it's done now. I've always been one who stayed around the game and who tried to organize stuff. But I don't see it happening now. It's kind of...
To be honest, I can see the Venice Unleashed situation coming back. But hopefully not.
Yeah. The ideal thing would be 2042 to be a good game, and then we could play there, but... I honestly, competitive-wise, I don't see the game working out, like, at all. I don't see how it could work. There's too many balancing issues.
The vehicles need a whole redesign. Oh, yeah. There's no skill ceiling. Obviously we all know this, but it needs so much work to make it a competitive game.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I see the guys playing like 4v4 Rush. It doesn't even appeal to me, to be honest. Like, I don't see the fun in playing it.
To me, it's too slow. Like, Squad of Blit, even to me, was too slow. But this just might be me these days, especially like after playing a lot of Domination. I just think it has to be a mixture of maybe the Domination speed, but also like something like a Blit, so the audience can follow like a structured game mode, but also be entertained at the same time. Because people that would watch like Rush, I think, and like BF3 it works, Squad Rush, because the maps were smaller and it was more fast paced.
Yep.
But 2042, the maps are pretty damn massive still in Rush.
Yeah, the game needs like an entire rework, especially like around competitive, in order for it to work, I think. Because like you see people like ESB coming up with the rule sets, and I get that they're like trying to do their best, but it's just like it's not it, right? It's just ridiculous. Like you can't access this roof, you can't do that. And like I don't want to play competitive and be thinking like, can I be on this roof where I'm standing now, or like
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good way to approach it. But then again, I also don't see what else there's as a possibility for the game. So
Like we had Portal as a possibility, but
mm.
it's so half-assed,
Yeah, like if in Portal we could like set off a section of the map, put our own flags in, that would be huge already. Like that could be insane, but we don't even have that. Like there is not much we can do. And I think we've also missed the window of opportunity for competitive to like be a bit bigger. Because like when 2042 released, you saw the Twitch numbers, the YouTube numbers that were insane. Like they were, I've never seen them that big. So if the game was good and we could have launched competitive then with those numbers, then we could have seen a lot of like view retention and player retention. But
yeah, because it gives someone like the players something to strive for, but it has to be done like in the first week or two, and then you start working on the rule set, like, and it just gets refined within like a few weeks to a month. Like that's what we did with Battlefield 4, and it had to be done like straight away with 2042.
Yep.
But we all saw what happens.
It's a shame, yeah. And the window of opportunity was perfect, right? Like Vanguard flopped. It was such a bad game at launch, so they just had to release a half decent game in order for it to be successful. But and now they're planning on this summer. But then when you look at this year, Modern Warfare 2 is coming out, and I like a 1-year-old game who releases new content and fixes that hopefully make the game better. I don't think they can beat up against a giant like Modern Warfare 2.
It's gonna be tough. Like, yeah. I really don't see 2042 bouncing back, but I hope I'm wrong. But like, they might improve the game, but bringing back players is a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like Battlefield 4 lost a lot of players, but it didn't lose this many. Like the retention on this is just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, this is insane. Like I think it's been at like 1,500 players on Steam, like for the past couple of days. That's just insane. And the one big thing is also like they can fix the game, they can put in content into the game, but if the performance doesn't improve, like 90% of players can't even play the game.
Yeah.
So what's the point of fixing everything inside the game if people can't even access the game? It's
like you can't play a semi like fast FPS game without good frame rates. Like you can play mil sims at like 60 frames, but like if you're trying to play 2042 at 60 frames, like a lot of people are with like average hardware, that they're not going to have a good time at all. Yeah,
definitely not. Well, we already talked a bit about 2042, but I also wanted to talk about BF1. I saw you made a couple of videos on that game. What was your experience with Battlefield 1? Like, did you play any competitive there, or was it just mainly public?
So at that time, I think I had my second back surgery. So I wasn't with like the severity of the surgery. I was pretty much unable to game for like 6 months, and then it was like a year full recovery. So
And
I pretty much
while we're on the topic,
games.
I think we should maybe tell the chat or those who don't know what happened, like with your car accident.
Yeah, so when I was like 18, I was an electrician apprentice, and I was hit by like a drunk or high driver, pretty much like head on. Pretty big impact. He was speeding, and I won't go into like tons of detail, but pretty much it found out that I had like a badly like burst disc in my lower back, and I had to have a couple surgeries to correct it. One of the surgeries went wrong, and I was in a lot of pain for about a year before they found the cause of the problem, which was basically you have two like discs and two actual discs, and you have like a sac in between, which is how your vertebrae flexes. And that was initially like completely just burst, and they had to replace that. But the first fusion went wrong, and the two discs keep grinding, even though it was trying to fuse. So every time the bone would start to fuse, it would break, and I was in immense pain for over a year. Um, and I eventually we found it, but it was like too late. Where my central nervous system is so used to sending that amount of pain to my brain all the time that I still have that like those signals being fired every day at the moment, even though now I have the injuries fixed. So it's I'm on like medications to try and help block those signals, which is a very high dosage, and I'm like in probably about a 6 out of 10 pain at the moment, and like it never gets below 4. So that's something that I still deal with today. But yeah, it's been quite a process.
So it's like kind of like phantom pains. Is that how you could describe it?
Yeah, it's real, but the injury triggering it isn't actually real.
Yeah.
So there's no tissue damage, but the signals being fired are completely real, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about medicine or anything, but I don't really think there is a fix for it yet, right?
No, there's a couple of medications that can help block the signal and help your like it's to do with your brain's interpretation of those signals too. So it can help the brain be in a more positive mindset, if that makes sense. Like sort of antidepressants actually can be treated, are used to treat chronic pain. Funnily
And
enough.
antidepressants. Oh wow, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
So I'm on a very high dose of a medication called venlafaxine, which is actually also used for severe anxiety and depression. So I actually use it because of my pain, like back injury. I'm got pretty bad depression, and it's actually used to treat both of those. So
Oh, I didn't know that could also. I mean, the brain is a weird place, so I guess all kinds of medication can do all kinds of things.
yeah,
And is there like maybe it's a bit of a difficult question? Is there like any like how do you say it in English? Is there like any positives looking forward? Like is there like anything?
any prospects?
Any
that I can
prospects?
try?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I've spent like 3 years since I've been diagnosed. I've been through like pain clinics, seen every like pain specialist in my city. Tried every medication. There's like 10 different medications, so it's quite a process to build up your dosage, come off the dosage if it doesn't work. So at the moment, I don't know of anything, but I've tried so many things so far. But yeah, the pain I experience, like I didn't really open it up about it until probably about a week ago when I made a like twit longer
Yep.
about it. But like when it's really bad, it literally feels like my spine is breaking. Like it's very unbearable.
I must
So
like that. That's all. Like I knew about your brain, about your back injury, but I didn't know. I think as much other people, I didn't know how like severe it really was until you like you said posted a tweet.
it's one of those things, right, where it's very hard to explain to someone that it's a real injury, but not a real injury. And it's like going into like it's one of those things like you don't want to complain all the time to people or like push your problems on people. And it's also like I try to stay positive, so I don't like to think about it too much. It's one of those things, right? It's always there, and it took me years to be able to even like live my life properly without being like dependent on painkillers. And like streaming and gaming helps me like take my mind off the pain. But yeah, like I don't think people understand like the level of pain I'm in like all the time. It's not too nice, but there are a lot of like there are people that live with the same conditions, and it's like chronic pain and a thing called central sensitization. Like people don't know a lot about it, but I think the world's starting to, we're getting specialist doctors, and it's starting to be a bit more of a known thing now.
And have you had contact with people who are in a similar condition as you?
Yeah, so we have a pain clinic in Christchurch, and I was with 3 other people, which were all around the country, came to this clinic for 3 weeks. And there's different forms of chronic pain. Chronic pain is just like pain that's like lingering for more than 3 months with no sign of actual tissue damage. That's the definition of chronic pain. But there's like fibromyalgia, which is a pretty common one. But there was one guy there who's about late 40s. He had pretty much the exact same symptoms as me, back injury as well. So it was really good just to talk to him, have someone actually telling you they're experiencing the exact same thing. And like that made me like actually be a bit more confident in my injury, that it wasn't in my mind, like it's real, you know?
Yep, definitely.
That really did help me.
Because I can imagine there isn't like that many people who experience like chronic pains, like you say. So it must feel liberating at the time to like have someone to talk to who knows what it's like. Because we can all sit here and be like, yeah, pain must suck, but we don't know how severe the pain is, or we can't even imagine how bad it is. So I think it must feel nice to have someone who does know.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not trying to, like right now, like even though I'm trying not to think that I'm complaining, but like it's one of those things, right? So if you have an injury, this is not like saying my pain or my injury is worse than someone that's been in a car accident, for example. But the option they have is they can take pain medications to actually help that level of pain and work about fixing the injury. But for me or someone that has this pain condition, there's no fix. You have to rest. You can't just take painkillers to help the pain. It won't go away like that. Like you have to write it out, and like writing out like a 9 out of 10 pain for sometimes days, if not a week, is very exhausting. And there's a lot of people with the condition unfortunately do kill themselves because it's not a nice thing to have at all. Like sorry to bring that up, but it's just one of those things. It's not nice.
No, definitely.
But this is where I actually got into gaming a lot more, is because it helps take my mind off it. So
yeah, like you said, you don't want to complain. I think there's like I've said this in private to you as well. Like there's a huge difference between complaining and shining a light on the issue that you have, right? Like right now you're just sharing your experience, and I think sharing your experience will like benefit you in the long run. Like people are aware of the issue. It's not raising pity or anything like that. It's just if people know about it, they can support you, and I think that's a really important thing to like I think a lot of people try to solve their problems on their own, like you've been doing. Everyone does it. I think I've done it as well. But like the moment you realize that there's like people around you who don't care about the injury or you complaining, who just like are there for you and lift you up, I think that's like a pretty important step to take and a good spot to be in.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's taken me years to like process it properly, and get to a point where I can actually push the pain a little bit to the side and actually like focus on other things at the same time. That like was the hardest thing for me to learn, is being in a lot of pain, but also still being able to concentrate in a game and actually enjoy it. That was like when I used to try and play games, I was a mess and like I couldn't concentrate. I was obviously angry all the time because of the pain. But it's like that's the one thing it took me years to learn, but I'm better at it now. I still have my days, of course, but
obviously. I think like the pain is one thing, but like the mental stress that it puts on you, I don't think any of us can even imagine what it's like to have to push through the pain every single time again, knowing that it's coming back at some point. So I think that's a very, like I said, we can't imagine, so it's very strong of you to keep doing that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So yeah, we were then talking about BF1, that you had your second surgery. Now that everyone is up to speed about the surgery and stuff. So yeah, go ahead about Battlefield 1.
I might have played it like in the first couple of days, but I didn't play any of the... No, sorry, I played the beta, but I didn't play it on release because of my surgery. So when I came back, like a couple of my good friends who are on my competitive team told me the game died. Like people stopped playing it, after the first couple of weeks, who were like semi-serious about the game at least. So I just took like almost a couple of years off, to be honest, and only came back to Battlefield 1 towards the end of the life cycle. Like I have 160 hours or something, but most of that was the last couple months of the game, and then also just a little bit of last year when before 2042 came out.
All right. So you never got into like the, what was it called, incursions?
No, but a couple of guys in my comp team did, like Krypton and I think Lepus. So I was in close contact with them and got feedback, but I didn't actually try it myself because it was also on NA servers, so it was like high ping
Mm-hmm.
and just yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think then we're at another controversial battlefield, BF5. I think you've played quite a lot of that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah,
Also competitively, right?
yeah. Late in the game, we got into some competitive. To be honest, I didn't mind the game competitively. Has issues. Battlefield 5, of course, like it's random recoil. Um, but once you actually remove some of the bullshit from the game, like comp does with the rule sets, it wasn't too bad. It was a big change from like Battlefield 4 because BF5 is a lot more of a passive game,
Mm-hmm.
more angle holdy. The audio is very strong, so you always know when someone's pushing you. If it works, but in fives, there's usually not a lot going on, so you can generally hear everything. Um, so the game's very like positioning based and tactical. But yeah, I didn't mind it overall. But I never got to play like large format in that game.
Yeah,
But it's nothing on BF4 though. But it was all right.
I recently started getting into BF5. You were there last week when I was playing, and I have to say, like, I'm actually really enjoying the game. Like, of course, there's a lot of bullshit in it. Like, the random recoil sucks. It's just terrible. But I've been kind of enjoying myself playing the game. It's a different change of pace compared to BF4 infantry. Definitely, there's a lot more maps you can play on as an infantry player.
Yeah, that is one good thing about the game. Like apart from most of the Pacific maps, you can actually play infantry pretty well, like on any map. And that's the one thing I enjoyed about it is like streaming is like you didn't have to like server hop as much. You could pretty much do what you wanted on any map. And that's I thought the maps were not necessarily well designed, but like well balanced between vehicles for the most part and infantry. Some some things like the Pacific maps and like Fiao, the plans on that are so like fucked.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was pretty decent.
I think that's one thing that I enjoy about some of the Battlefield maps, right? Like the Devastation, for example, I think is an amazing map to play infantry on. Then Cyanide says until everyone whips out semi-autos. True.
Yeah.
Very true.
So that's where competitive helped the game because there was no semis and there was no shotguns, which automatically improves the game tenfold.
Yep, I can imagine that. But yeah, like I said, I've been enjoying the game, and I think I might actually like play some more today and stream a bit of it as well. It's just like a different game that I haven't played before, so it will probably wear out pretty soon. But anything better than 2042 for me, honestly. Like, I would rather
Yeah,
play
it's
BF5 right now than 2042.
I'm actually the same. I'm not saying it's like technically a better game, but it's like it is better made. Like the for infantry at least, the mouse input works. The frames are decent. But the one bad thing which you'll notice is anti-cheat. Like especially when you're playing on public servers, you'll find cheaters every game
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's one big thing about BF5. The cheaters are just out of control. I don't
Yeah.
know what they did there with, like, they don't have an anti-cheat. Like, let's just put it the way it
Nah.
is. There is no anti-cheat. And I heard that it's even worse on like OCE and the Asia region.
Sorry, shutting my door. The
Uh,
lazy way, you know.
Okay. And I heard that like the cheaters are even worse in like Asia and OC than they are in EU. And I already encountered a
OCE
lot
was
of them.
fine. OCE was fine because we have like pretty much all community servers, at least late in this life cycle. So which comes with very bad things with like admins that are terrible. But we didn't get really cheaters or very much many cheaters. But Asia is the most infested region for cheaters I've ever seen. Like it's like twice as bad as I'd ever seen on anyone's stream who like in NA or Europe. Like it was fucked. Like you'd have two blatant cheaters pretty much per match in like Conquest, and there's probably like 10 other people cheating. It was
That
the
is
biggest joke.
insane, yeah. And then the Silk says, man with time machine stopped the car from hitting Shady. True.
Like you say that, but I honestly like I would obviously like the injury to go away, but I wouldn't be here without it. Like I wouldn't have got into Battlefield gaming as
True.
much because I would have been working too much. I also mentioned a little bit. I played a lot of cricket, and I was up pretty high level. Like I played first grade when I was like 17. Like that's before you get into your domestic team, like for your region. Um, so I didn't have a lot of time to game. So I'd maybe play an hour a day, but I never would have got into competitive and like actually like met everyone and streamed. And so it's good and its bad points, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think we have like a very similar mindset where, you know, bad things happened in the past, they suck, but you also like if you keep looking at the positives that they brought, it's a lot easier to you know, to conquer them, I feel like. At least for me. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's the same for you, but
Yeah, I see it as it makes you who you are. Like I am
Mhm.
a lot less like I have less of an ego than I used to be. I understand that things can be taken away from you in a flash of an eye, and you
Well,
just don't take things for granted as much.
yeah, definitely. Like everything that happens, bad or good, it all happens and it makes you to who you are today, right? Like the pain sucks, everything around it sucks, but without it, you maybe wouldn't be here, right? That's
Yeah, exactly.
um. And I have like one more thing that I wanted to talk about: your Apex journey. I saw that.
Apex, yeah.
Yeah, Apex. I saw you play on stream like a week maybe, and then you completely stopped again. Um.
Yeah, so I played for about a week. And we got to like diamonds and probably like 5 days of ranked, so pretty quick. And I was playing with some like very good players who were carrying me quite a lot. Like one had played like pro, like he was a very good player here, and I was playing with Polar and another guy who was also very good. But it's like as soon as you get to the higher ranks, it's so boring. It's so slow. Like I can't do it. Like I only enjoy respawn. Unfortunately, I wish I could enjoy BRs, but it's like RNG of guns, weapons you find, and how slow it is. Like I just couldn't get into the game. Just how slow it was.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. I've like I think 250 hours in Apex maybe. Most of it was in the start, but then when ranked came back, when rank launched, I would rather say because first there was no ranked, it was just public. But when ranked launched, I also started playing, and like you said, it's fun up until diamond. At that point, it's just
Yeah,
horrendous. Like,
it sucks because it's not like people take ranks too seriously. I find
mhm.
right. It's not for money. It's just a stupid badge you get. Like, sure, you might take it more seriously in the last couple of fights, but like, I don't know. I could play the game like just running around and like mucking around and trying to contest like everyone, but when you're actually like playing it like it's a paid tournament, like there's
Mhm.
no point.
No, exactly. I
Yeah.
feel like everyone in most ranked modes in any game, but especially in Apex, it's like there's millions on the line. Once you reach diamond, people are playing like their life depends on it. And I think it makes the game
Yeah.
very boring. And also very annoying to play because you're like you want to play aggressive, but you keep running into people who are sitting in a in a house waiting for someone to
Yeah.
run through. So yeah, I completely understand why you quit. And they also removed control from the
Yeah. So
yeah.
you had nothing else to play other than Arena and BR. And it's just like without the respawn of control, it's just, I don't know, same old thing, I think.
Mm. Yeah, agreed.
Um,
And a while back, I saw Squirrel asking, I think, opinions on BattleBit. I've played it. I don't know if you've played it.
I played it, yeah, once on stream.
And how did you find the game?
The game runs well, gunplay is good, but it's not immersive. I can't see myself like playing it often. I can see myself as sort of as a game where I'm having like not enjoying a game a certain day, and I just want to like fuck around for
Hmm.
a couple hours. It's fun, but I don't think I could play a lot of it personally.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. The moment I touched on the game, I just instantly fell in love. I don't know what it was. I think during the beta, I was able to play one day and I played like 13 hours straight. Like no
That's
breaks, no
nuts.
food, nothing. I was just playing the game. I had
I
such a
wish I could do
blast.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was playing with like one or two friends who were also like pretty good at the game. So we were just like completely farming every lobby. Uh, Silk BattleBit. I don't think.
Maybe because I played it by myself. Maybe I should try it
Oh yeah,
with
you have to.
Silk. I'll carry Silk or something, and it might
You
be a
have
bit
to
more
you have to
fun.
play with some friends. It becomes infinitely much better. Yeah, it's true. But like I think my KD in the game is like 7, and I have like 30 or 31% accuracy. I absolutely love it. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's just so much fun. And
yeah. Like it does feel fun, definitely.
yeah, but what Silk says, the TTK, that's true. But you have to realize the TTK that's currently in the game is not the TTK that will be in the normal mode of the game when it releases. At least that's what I've heard. So right now it's like a mix between the normal and the hardcore mode, but on launch it would be normal and then what we have now. Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit better. Yeah.
And they're also working on helicopters at the moment, so you know that I'm already excited for that as well. But I
If
think
there's no jet though, Silk probably won't play it.
yeah,
Let's be
there's no
real.
jet and no
Yeah,
no roadmap for a jet either. But I think that the one thing that the game is missing, like there's a couple of good maps, but the maps are
they're pretty open, eh? Like
they're
there were a
pretty
couple of
open,
decent
yeah.
ones, but yeah, it felt like 2042 open maps to be honest.
Yeah. But also the developers have said that they will be focusing on clan versus clan wars, so the bigger ones, but they also want smaller competitive modes, which get casted and like organized leagues and stuff. So the devs themselves have already said
That's
that
cool.
that's something they want to do.
I mean, if that's a thing, I might get into it more.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt there'll be an OCE scene though. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
that's rough. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think in a month, yeah, less than a month, the next playtest is. And the final one after that, it's waiting until the game releases. And my webcam dropped again.
Yeah, there goes Dalton again.
I think it's because I hit I'm like moving my chair and then I hit the cable, I think.
You just want to pick your nose. I know how it is.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, shit. It's not plugged in anymore. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I should stop touching the cable. But I don't know, does anyone in the chat have any more questions or things they want us to talk about? I don't have any more points written down. I don't know if you have anything you want to share or talk about, Shady.
I have a little bit of a think, but thoughts on oats, goated.
Yeah, very good. I eat them almost every day. Last week
Yep.
I had way too many oats. Like I thought I could finish the bag, but the bag was way too much. So I was like bloated for 6 hours.
That is so good. You just don't feel shit after them, you know? Like,
Yep, definitely. And what did you still want to talk about, Shady? You have a thing you said that you wanted to...
I'm just having a wee think. Not really. I think we've covered like most of it. I don't know if you want to go into mental health at all, or just
Yeah,
leave that for another
sure.
day.
I wanna get into it if you want to. I don't mind at all.
We could save it for another day. It depends if
No,
you and chat want to.
the chat doesn't have a say in this, so it's I've decided. But yeah, like obviously you've then talked about your back injury. But like I said that it's probably very stressful on your mental health. Did you get like diagnosed with anything mental related
Yeah,
or
I have like ongoing depression, which I don't think will go away. I have anxiety as well, but it's more depression, which I said I'm on like venlafaxine each day for, but I can't really come off it because it's also treating my back injury or my chronic pain injury. But without that, because I'm in pain all the time, before I found a medication that worked, I was like suicidal like most days. Didn't do anything. Didn't want to do anything. So yeah, I still struggle with that when I'm not streaming, because streaming helps me take my mind off things and talking to people. But when I'm not doing that, I'm a mess, to be honest.
yeah. I completely like I've also struggled with depression. Also had like 2 suicide attempts, so I know what suicidal thoughts are like, and it really sucks. And there's like nothing you can there's like no tips or tricks that anyone can give you. Like there's nothing. It's just you and your thoughts, and you have to like battle them and try to overcome them, which is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, for me, it's like having something to look forward to, which I didn't have for many years. But like gaming and streaming is the only thing that I've recently looked forward to. And it's like without that, it's a very slippery slope. You always need to be doing something and working on something. Or at
Yep.
least I do.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like I need, like for example, like I'm gaming, like I'm now doing the podcast, sometimes streaming, but I also like I study now. I work in a homeless shelter, and like you need those goals and those occupations to keep your mind off of things. Definitely,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
agree with that. I now recently, I think a week now that I've been completely off antidepressants. But I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I would technically have to take medication for that, but I don't want to. Because even the antidepressants I made, like, you normally you have like your feelings, your highs, your lows, but like it just makes it
Mellows you
flat,
out.
right?
Yeah.
It just completely mellows you out.
Yeah.
So now I'm
That,
off them, and I can definitely feel like a lot more anxiety again. But I can also like I literally describe it as I came outside and I could feel the sun and the wind on my face. It was such a
yeah.
weird experience, but like I could feel again. Um, so it,
I definitely want to one day come off them, but it sucks because, yeah, as I said, it's the only medication I can take is for my back, but it also treats depression and anxiety at the same time. So it's sort of like I can't fully come off it. So I'm always going to have those like a bit more mellowed out
yep.
than I would generally be. But sadly, it's just, one of those things.
And I don't
So
know, do you have a lot of side effects of the antidepressants?
I'm always like, see me drinking a lot. I'm always dehydrated
Mm-hmm.
because it's very high dosage and very bad headaches
Oh yeah,
most days. But yeah, other than that, not too much really.
yeah. Like apart from the mellowed out feelings, because you get used to that, you don't really realize that your feelings are being mellowed out. But for me, it
Yeah.
was like you said, the headaches were really really bad. And I was just tired all the time. Like I would sleep 10 hours a night, and then in the afternoon I would take a 3 hour nap because I just couldn't stay awake. Um,
Yeah, I have that, but I'm not 100% sure because with my the pain that I'm in, I usually wake up like 6 to 8 times, so I don't sleep well at all because I'm probably awake like half the night. Um, so it's hard to say whether that's the medication or it's the sleep.
mhm.
But yeah, I think it would make me a bit more tired, but it's sort of hard to say.
Yeah. For me, like I said, my anxiety has come back, but it's like a trade-off I'm willing to make. It's still a slippery slope, but we'll see where it takes me. I think as long as I have goals, and the same for you, as long as you have like goals and things to look forward to, I think we're fine. But the moment
Yeah,
those things disappear, then it's gonna be a tough one.
that's why I was ashamed with 2042. It's like our goals were focused on that battlefield, and it's like having to reassess everything as well was like it's probably worse for a lot of other people, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's something else. You just have to shift and adjust your goals, really.
Yep, agreed. Then Nadal asks, was there a specific reason why Shady was gone for 2 months? Was wondering where he had been for so long. Yeah, I don't think we've discussed that yet.
Yeah. So because I started streaming just under 2 years ago, and I probably had like 5 or 6 breaks for like between 1 and 3 months each time. Um, and so with my pain condition, you get these things like flare ups, which can be caused by either like you do too much and it will send your like central nervous system like through the roof. And it makes me like almost bedridden for like it can be from weeks to like over a month. And when it's like that, I can't game, I can't stream. My depression, as you can imagine, gets very bad, and that amount of pain, um, it's sort of like I withdraw really heavily because I'm just not in a good way, and that's pretty much why I had to stop for a couple of months. I was stuck in bed for like a month and a half, and just pretty depressed to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah, and like you also mentioned that you have like come up and off different medications, so you also know what the withdrawals are like. And I can imagine having to go through them. I suffered from them like when I got completely sober. I had my withdrawals, but now with quitting antidepressants was far worse than I had ever had. Like it really, really sucks coming off of them.
That's so bad. And the medications I've been on, a lot of them are actually used for antidepressants. So mirtazapine is one. Gabapentin is used a lot for anxiety. Coming off those medications is not a fun time. So when I was doing that, I wasn't gaming at all. It's it's like with tramadol is like something that was used to treat a lot of my pain back in the day.
Yep.
And I still have to take it when I'm on these big flare-ups. And if you're on a medication for so long, it's so hard to come off. Like the withdrawals are messed up. Like I'll have like a fever for like over a day, and it's like it's a very slippery slope with medications, and it's you have to weigh up whether it's worth it or not.
It's funny that you mentioned tramadol because of the entire washing list that that I was addicted to, tramadol was also one of them for a while. So I definitely feel how bad it is to come off of them, because those are painkillers, and I feel like painkillers are like antidepressants are more of a mental thing to come off of them, but painkillers are really physical. Like you feel sick. Like
the best way to describe it is like you have a bad flu, but it's horrible. Whilst like if you come off caffeine, for example, you'll crave it, but it's like way worse that you crave it.
Yeah,
it's not nice stuff.
It's really bad. Yeah.
So when I was like off for those couple months, I was on tramadol again, so I had to go through the process of going onto that and then trying to wean myself off, which is a mission if you've been on it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
I now tapered myself off of antidepressants. I wanted to do it quick, and I did it quick. I think 3 weeks after a year and a half of use. So it was quite fast. And the one side effect that I still have is like, I call them brain shivers. I don't know if you've heard of them. Where you have like this feeling of electricity like in your brain, but also like I have it everywhere in my body. Like I get these like...
Do you get it in your ears? Like it's like static all through your ears?
Yeah.
That's...
It's like when your foot or your hand sleeps and you move it, like that feeling.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm getting.
And you get real dizzy.
You get real dizzy with
it. Yeah. I actually had a ECG done on my heart because I actually thought it could be heart issues, when it actually just turned out to be from my medications and withdrawals. You can't explain it to people. It's the weirdest feeling. It feels like your brain is like switching off for a split second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's very weird to go through it. And I tried explaining it to my parents, for example, and they just laughed at me. They didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah,
but it's a very, very weird thing to go through. And it's not like it doesn't hurt, but it's just so annoying.
Uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's very annoying.
Yeah, I've had that quite a bit, and it's not nice. Yeah.
For me, it's now. Yesterday was the first day it's like slowly getting better. But other than that, it's like every maybe minute, 2 minutes, I get like a random sensation somewhere in my body. It's very annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that goes away soon. Eh? It's not nice at all.
I've like looked up some research on it, and apparently there's like no scientific reason to why it's happening. There's like they haven't figured out why it happens yet. There's also no solutions or anything for it. So it kind of sucks.
I mean, like loosely, a lot of those antidepressants play around with the nerves in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like when it's having to come off it, it's sort of rewiring itself in a way.
Yep.
So brains are a pretty scary thing.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
But, I often am surprised at my own brain and how it works. Like the brain of an addict or someone who has been addicted is so weird. It's such a weird place. Like now, for example, I'm home alone this weekend, and for some reason, the thought of being home alone made me insanely hungry for drugs. Like the cravings I've had the past week was just absolutely ridiculous. And like I've been sober for over 600 days, and all of a sudden it just comes back, and there's no reason
Yeah,
for it. It's just there, and there's like
I completely
nothing.
understand that.
Yeah.
Because like with tramadol, I'm addicted to it. Because I was on it for so long, and I got to a point when I was really depressed. I was abusing it a little bit, and it's like for you, I think it'd be like, you could get high with no repercussions, no one would ever know.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
you know, it's a very slippery slope, and yeah,
Yeah, I had the same actually a couple. I think it's maybe a couple of weeks ago, where I went to my doctor because I was going to quit the antidepressants, and I asked him for something natural to help with controlling the emotions and the anxiety. So he prescribed me something. I went to the to the pharmacy. I got it, and me being stupid, I just trusted my doctor. So I took the pill at the time that he prescribed it. And the moment I took it, like 30 to 45 minutes later, I felt something like click in my head. And I was like, damn, this feels good. I was like,
yeah,
what is this? So I then look at the box and he prescribed me Xanax. And I was like, shit.
damn,
Yeah. So,
yeah. You got to be so careful. Like
yeah. And
you either get addicted to things or you don't,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like I do. So always been so careful.
Yeah. And then obviously, the addict that I am, I had the Xanax here in my room. No one would know, right? I would feel good. No one would know. So I like take them a lot. I think I ate half the box in like a day. Um, and then the day after, I realized like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm not gonna start using it, so I just threw them away. Like, you always have to
Yeah.
be careful. And if at that point I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna do it again, like that's when shit goes down real bad.
And there's something with your video, like, I mean, not just myself, but I think a lot of people appreciate it. Is like, there's so much stigmas around people that are either depressed or into, like, they're addicted to
Mm-hmm.
something, and it's like there's no face to it. Like anyone, it can happen to anyone.
Yep.
Um, and it is a disease. Like seriously, some people, it's in your DNA from passed down from your family members. You're a lot more likely to
Mm-hmm.
have addiction problems, and it's like you have to be careful. And there's nothing wrong if you do get addicted to things, but it's like you have to understand you have an issue and like how to fix it
Yep.
and work on it.
Definitely. For the longest time, I didn't realize I had an issue. Like, for me, it was just I was partying, I was young, I was having fun, until it's no longer fun. And then you realize that you have an issue. Um, yeah, I don't think if there's anything else you want to share about the mental stuff.
No, I think it would just be like it was a very dark time. I might open up a little bit more about the mental side eventually, but it's like it's one of those things where I don't like going on about it a lot because most of it is in my past, and it's like it can bring up some very like dark times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but maybe eventually I might talk about it a bit more.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if that's the way you're feeling about it now, then it's not time yet to talk about it. Because I had that for the longest time as well. I've been fairly open about it when I'm streaming and stuff. Um, but like the way that I open up in the video, I don't think I've opened up. Like I've put myself out there really vulnerable, I feel like. Um, but for me, it wasn't so much about the video, or it's also about spreading a message and showing people. But it was more like a therapeutic thing where I was sitting in front of my camera and just being real with myself for a moment and speaking the things out loud instead of in my head. So I think
yeah.
if you're ever ready for it, or if not, you'll know. You'll definitely know.
For me, it's ongoing. Like I've seen like 4 or 5 different psychologists, but it's like when I have those big flare ups, it's like a switch goes off in my brain that it just starts again.
Hmm.
The pain just is a very dark place for me. So like there's not a ton to talk about, but it's like I'm still going through it, and
Yep.
if I disappear, that'll be why. Is the pain and the depression. But I haven't found anything yet that can stop it when it's the 9 out of 10 pain every day. Um, but yeah, it's something that I'm continuing to work on. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's the only thing you can do is move forward and step by step try to improve your life and your situation. And setbacks will happen; they always happen. Um, like with me, I could have beaten myself over eating half a box of Xanax, but it happened. I learned from it, and you just move on, right?
Yeah.
I think
Now
that's
you
the
know to
most.
question if you're prescribed something, and
Yeah,
it's all about improvement.
that's true, and that's a big thing that people don't realize is prescription drugs are often worse than the illegal drugs. Like I've done like a lot of illegal drugs, but the ones that really, really are addicting are the ones that you can get prescribed. Like it's a
Yeah.
very that's why you see in like countries like the US, like the opioid crisis, the stuff is insane there. Like it's so easy to get prescribed stuff, and they just prescribe fentanyl, oxys, and people just instantly get hooked on that stuff.
It is the most addictive thing I've ever been on, and
Yep.
I've been on like 20 plus medications, and like tramadol is the most good and bad medication I've ever seen. Like it's really good if you're in a lot of pain, but you cannot take it for extended periods of time. You just cannot. It's horrible stuff. It really is.
Yep. Silk says I had the green whistle once. That shit went. What the fuck is a green whistle?
I don't know.
I have no idea what the fuck that is, Silk. Like,
It's probably some Australian thing. I have no idea.
yeah, I have no idea
Yeah.
what that shit is.
I don't know, but it is good that I don't know about over in your part of the world, but over here, people are like the doctors are understanding now that they have to be a lot more strict with prescriptions. Like if someone comes out of hospital, they only give a prescription for like 2 weeks max for painkillers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting better. I think, sort of opening up a little bit about how bad it actually is.
Definitely. But I think the biggest thing that we as society can do for addiction is talk about it. Like that is the one and only thing that we can do is just talk about it and help those who need helping and who are willing to receive help.
I
But
think I know what Silk's talking about. It's like when you're in an ambulance, they'll give you they can give you a whistle, and it's like because it's inhaled through the air, they can put like sort of like morphine. It's quicker than going into the bloodstream. I think that's what it is.
yeah, it could be something like that.
Yeah.
Penthrox, I've never heard of it. No.
Okay.
But yeah, stuff like morphine and all that stuff, that's just... It used to be morphine, but morphine is no longer even near the strongest painkiller that's on the market. Stuff like fentanyl these days is just actually insane how potent that is. Like, paramedics in the US, they have to like wear gloves all the time, put on a face mask if they treat someone who has a potential overdose. Just because inhaling the powder itself, like just a little bit, can already overdose someone without...
It's crazy.
Yeah. If you don't have any tolerance for it, like just a little bit can kill you already. It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. It's scary. It really is.
It actually is. And the big problem then is that dealers try to cheap out on... Because if you have like... I don't want to maybe talk about drugs
Yeah, they'll
too
cut
much.
corners in the creation.
Yeah,
Right?
like if you have cocaine, for example, they always... Like every dealer cuts it up. So if the big dealer, he cuts it up with something, then it gets distributed to someone else. He cuts it up with something. Usually they use like dog... what the fuck do you call that? I'm gonna Google it. Because I don't know the English term of it. Deworming. Like they use dog or cat deworming products.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to cut it up. But because fentanyl has become so cheap in the US, they now cut it up with fentanyl. So you have coke addicts who go and buy a gram of coke and they end up overdosing on fentanyl because it got cut up with it. So that's like where a lot of the overdoses are coming from right now.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Talking about addictions, what is your take on the gaming addiction most of us have? I think game addiction, you have to be careful about calling something an addiction. I think playing an excessive amount of games isn't necessarily addiction. The point where it takes over parts of your life, or where you, for example, don't engage in social or like cancel social activities for it, you fail school because of it, you lose relationships because of it. I think that's when it becomes an addiction and a problem. Like, for example, I play a lot of games now, but I wouldn't call it an addiction. Right? Because I go to work, I go to school, I attend, social activities. So I don't think it's an addiction then.
Still a hobby for you, yeah.
It's definitely a big part of my life, and I would struggle not playing video games because I love it so much, but I don't think it's an addiction. And I think we have to be very careful because a lot of people call their kids gaming addicts, but you have to be careful about just throwing that term around, because if you use it too loosely, it will lose its value.
Yeah. Addiction is a completely different thing than wanting to spend a lot of time on something.
Yep.
Way different.
It's if you wanting to spend time on something is not a problem. It's if you don't want to spend the time on something, but you do spend the time on it, then that's when it's a problem. But gaming addiction is definitely a real thing. Like, I saw a lot of controversy around it. Like, oh, now they're calling gamers addicts. But it is a real thing. Like, it's always been a real thing. And I think it's good that it's recognized as an official disease now. So people who do suffer from it can get the help they need.
Yeah, I think when Fortnite came out, a lot of kids experienced that. And that's a lot of, yeah.
I mean, it's like back in the day, World of Warcraft was, for our generation, the big addiction, right? Like,
yeah.
But I think, in theory, you can get addicted to anything, right? Like, you can get addicted to water, you can get addicted to Coke, to whatever that's out there.
It's just whether it produces enough enjoyment for you. I was trying to think of the term, but if it's enjoyable enough for you, you can technically get addicted to it.
Yeah. I think another very controversial thing is food addiction these days, because you see a lot of the body positivity stuff, and I don't say that we should go fat shaming everyone, but I also don't think we should promote it to be this healthy thing that people should accept. Well, it's clearly not. It like being obese is just scientifically proven that it's not healthy. I know it's a very controversial statement for a lot of people, but it's just the truth. Like, you see all these plus size models who are very obese, and you see them in these on the magazine covers and stuff, and then I'm like, yeah, has to be clothes for everyone. Everyone has to be accepted, but do we really have to like promote it and paint it as something that is healthy and good for you? So yeah,
you got to be very, very careful with those things. It's not good for a lot of young people growing up looking at models, on like, every filters on all their like Facebook and Instagram posts. Yeah,
social media is terrible for young people. I think we've pretty much discussed everything now.
Yeah,
unless the chat has another question for us. I'll give you a couple more seconds. Other than that, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Yeah, it was nice talking to you, Shady, and I appreciate you opening up about some of the issues you had.
I appreciate you asking me to come on. I really do. And the video you made last week, it was very insightful, and like I think a lot of people appreciate it as well, especially coming from another member of the Battlefield community.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and that's what I want to do with this podcast as well. Like, I share my experiences, but I also want to get other people on who struggle or have struggled as well, and shine some light on them and educate people on those topics as well. But the one thing I do want to say is, if you ask me questions about addiction or anything, I will give you my opinion and my answer, but it's not medical advice, right? Like, I can't help you treat addiction or anything like that. I can only speak from my own experiences. But yeah, I think we're gonna call it a night. Well, a day for me, a night for you there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm gonna upload this on YouTube somewhere this week, probably. But yeah, have maybe I should check someone to raid real quick.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to anyone that came in into chat. Really appreciate it.
And if anyone in the chat has someone they want to get on the podcast or on the stream, or I can't speak anymore. They themselves want to come on, you can always DM me. Like, I don't care if you're a content creator, if you're not, or if you're just a player. I want this to be a place where people can just come on and share their experiences. I don't think there's anyone streaming at the moment. It's just completely dead.
Yeah, do you know, the only person I know is, do you know Freethy?
Yeah. He's streaming. Yeah, I'll give him a raid. I don't follow him,
Yeah,
actually.
he's the only person. Yeah, he's the only person I know of. To be
Yeah.
honest, it's a pretty quiet night, actually.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Shady, thanks again for coming on. And I'll see you whenever I go live again. I don't know when
No
that will
worries.
be.
Thanks for having me.
And raid.